Hi again. We are now on day 19, which is Wednesday the 7th. This day is all about setting their sights on how they want their posters to work. So they've had to go away and think about the design and think about what they might say, given that their research is probably not completely done. I very much doubt it would be completely done. Um, they need to sort of make a commitment to what they have to share and how they want to share it. And this is their first chance to do that, to actually go through the process in a low stakes way. Not for you, but for a small group of their peers. I suggest you bring to class 5 index cards for each student or so. So that's a pack and a half? Something like that. You might not actually need that many, but good to bring that many. You can also have them use their own paper if you want to. So the day starts off, I recommend going through the Project 6 prompt again, just to touch in on the key features that it needs to have and the things that are in the rubric. The thing that you should probably hit on and give them a few minutes to think about specifically is their use of visuals, that there should ideally be visuals of the data that they gathered somehow. If it's numerical data, that's easier. They can show pie charts and graphs. If it's qualitative data, interviews, written responses, they have choices for that are a little more difficult. They can make a word cloud on a website like Wordle.com. They can insert large quotations and make those a graphic interest to pull people from afar. The point of these images is that it pulls people from afar. It gets them interested in getting closer and finding out what your text is about. So they should consider how that's going to fit in. I'm sure they don't have that worked out yet, given the point in the design process they're likely at, but they might have an idea to start to work with, and this encourages them to include that in their work time, which they're about to get into. So for the next half hour after that, half an hour is good, give them time to work on their posters. They are going to present the text of their poster, which they will read aloud as it exists at the moment, which I really do encourage them to read it aloud and to write it out in detail in this half hour that they have together. And they'll also be showing off the design that they have, even if it's just a sketch on paper. Good to bring big paper too, of where the boxes will be and where the visual interest will be or what the theme will be. That it's okay if they haven't put as much work into that part yet, the visual design, but it's also good to get feedback on it at this stage, even if it's preliminary. So give them about half an hour to work. From there, they are going into a workshop. My suggestion for this would be to cut the class in half and to have, so you have roughly 6 projects and 6 projects. So within that group of 6, one poster would be presented by the 2 people who made it, and they should share that responsibility. So one person should read one section, the other person should read the other section, back and forth through the whole poster, and then they should talk us through the design that's there as well. There's a list of questions in the binder that folks can respond to on the note cards. They are things like, what's this group's research question? What are they trying to figure out? Why did they pick this data gathering method? What was that choice about? What would make this research more interesting or meaningful? What would make the visual elements more exciting and eye-grabbing? So those are the things they're going to be writing on the card, and then they'll be giving back to the author, of course, and talking for as much time as they have, given how many groups they have. I have this slated for 35 minutes. Give it as much time as you can. It's a really useful place for brainstorming as much as it is a useful place for critique. So groups will come in at all levels of preparedness and solidity for their projects, and they should be able to get valuable tips from each other and everybody move their projects forward through this experience and after this experience. Last thing to hit before you send them out the door is just to remind them of how the production process works for this exactly. That the digital version of their poster, which is probably a PowerPoint file or a JPEG or a PDF, that is due on the 14th. Then they have between the 14th and the 30th to get the thing printed. And then on the 30th, they are presenting it live to a real audience at the poster showcase, where there will be a Best Poster Award given out each time session. So that's the context for them. They may ask this, if they want to revise their poster, keep developing it between the 14th when they turn it in for points from you, and the 30th when they actually present it to a live audience. If they want to keep working on it, they may. Of course. More research will come in. They might come up with a better way to frame it than they did on the 14th. And as long as it's not printed yet, I don't see any reason why not to keep working on it. Certainly, they can work on the script, the talking points that they're going to give, and if there are updates from what's on the poster, they can explain them, they can talk them through. But they shouldn't be, I guess, they should think about the timeline going forward as it progresses to the quarter, that they're going to be working on the web text soon after they turn this in, and they'll have to put their posters aside for a little while. They can choose to put it aside or not. This is essentially what I'm trying to get at. The next class, they're going to be presenting their posters to the whole class. And they have to have it more or less done. Complete. They have to have it more or less complete so that they can really show it off. They should have the text of it more or less written, and they should have the design of it more or less ready. They should bring in a PowerPoint file or whatever they're going to use, which you'll set up on the main computer so that you can all do it there. I recommend that you reserve a computer lab for the next class, which you can do. I can read you the address, but the easy answer is if you Google computer lab WWU, you will find, or computer lab reservations, you'll find it. But it's through ATUS. atus.wwu.edu/classrooms and labs with hyphens between those /request lab reservation with hyphens between those. Google will get you there more easily. I recommend that because in addition to presenting their posters to the class, they're also going to have some time to work on it, and if they have digital files, which they likely do, being a computer lab will mean they can actually effectively work on it there. It's up to you. If yours is a class that tends to bring a lot of laptops, or people are doing posters by hand more than anything else, then might not be necessary. But if I were doing it, I would reserve a lab. That is about it. I hope that this turns out to be a useful place for students to test out early ideas and to brainstorm some new ones. Hopefully all of that will feed back into a fun day of like actually sharing and being proud of what's on its way to developing next class.